When his brother returns and reveals the legend of John and the Beanstalk, Puss in Boots sets off on a great adventure while having to face his past. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, Puss in Boots, from 2011. In a house in the middle of the desert, the wanted thief, Puss in Boots, steals the ring from a man's finger while he sleeps. However, just as the feline was about to leave, the man wakes up and tries to capture him. The man attacks him with his cane, but the cat draws his sword and blocks the blows with ease. The man then uses a cage attached to a chain to catch him, but the cat dodges and jumps off the table towards the window. The man then throws a boot at the feline, who manages to dodge it, but he throws another and the cat falls out of the house. After that, the guy runs to catch him, but Puss in Boots is already far away and manages to escape across the desert. Later, in a village, the people celebrate the Night of the Fire and Chicken Festival. There, Puss in Boots appears in front of a bar. He asks for a glass of milk and asks if anyone needs his services in exchange for money. The men in the bar don't take him seriously and one of them tries to attack him from behind, but the cat notices first and points his sword right at his throat. The guys then talk about the legend of the golden goose. However, to find her, the cat needs to get the magic beans, which are with the local criminal couple, Jack and Jill. The couple are staying in an inn and the cat goes there. When he arrives at their bedroom window, he notices that Jack is keeping the magic beans in a box, which is clutched in his hand. The feline uses his nails to cut the glass of the window, but at that moment, a masked black cat appears, who also wants to break into the room. Inside, the two start teasing each other and are about to fight, but Jack sees everything and fires his gun at them. The cats manage to escape through the window, but Puss in Boots is still angry that the intruder has disrupted his plan. He sets out to catch him, but the black cat cuts a cable with his dagger, using it to swing himself up to the rooftops and escape. Puss in Boots tries to follow him, but slips off a roof towards a woman's house, who tries to hit him with a broom. He still manages to escape and runs to the window of a bar. On the other side, the feline cuts a cable and uses it to swing himself into the street, at which point the black cat runs off. However, it crashes into a garbage can. Puss in Boots doesn't give up and runs until he reaches an alley with a tunnel. The two go through the passage and end up in a bar full of cats. Inside, the boot cat meets the black cat and challenges him to a fight. But instead of a sword duel, the two challenge each other to a dance duel. The cats in the bar start playing Spanish music, while the two dancers follow the same rhythm to prove who is the best. Suddenly, the black cat climbs onto the bar counter and throws a bowl of milk, which spills onto the cat in Boots. Furious, he draws his sword and challenges the feline to a real duel. The two of them strike each other with their blades and Puss in Boots manages to disarm his opponent. However, the masked cat retrieves his sword and disarms him too. Helpless as he is, Puss in Boots picks up a guitar and hits the black cat unawares right in the face. At that moment, the masked cat reveals its identity. It's actually a female. She gets annoyed with the feline's tricky attitude and goes into a room. Puss in Boots decides to follow her and finds his old friend, the egg Humpty Dumpty. He says that he asked his thieving friend, the cat Kitty Softpalms, to lure him there to explain his plan to steal the magic beans. The egg says he needs his friend's help, but Puss in Boots doesn't accept the offer and leaves. Outside the bar, Kitty manages to catch the cat's eye and tries to get him to join them, but he refuses because of his troubled past with Humpty. As a little cub, Puss in Boots ended up in an orphanage. There, he was raised by the kind Lady Imelda and met Humpty Dumpty, his first friend. One day, when the two of them were harassed by two boys, the cat defended his friend and attacked the boys with a wooden spoon. From that day on, they became partners and Humpty told him about the legend of the magic beans. Since then, they have hunted for such beans for years, but have never found them. One day, the two robbed the villagers and the commandant took them back to the orphanage. Minutes later, while they were chatting on the roof, Humpty talked about how he didn't like the village and, in a fit of rage, threw a stone. However, the stone hits the lock of a door, which opens and releases a monstrous bull. The animal runs towards an old lady, but the cat jumps on its horn and knocks it down. The little lady the cat saved was the commander's mother, and because of his heroic act, everyone in the village salutes him. His mother, Imelda, presents him with a hat and a pair of leather boots. Now known as Puss in Boots, he becomes a protector of the village, while Humpty continues to rob the villagers and ends up being arrested. Puss helps him out, but tells his friend that he doesn't want to be a thief anymore. One night, however, Humpty calls him to help him with a debt. When they get there, the cat realizes that his friend has tricked him and that, in fact, they were there to rob the village bank. Just then, the guards arrive and the feline tries to defend himself, but ends up scratching the commander's face. Furious, he orders everyone to arrest Puss and Humpty, but they run off with the cart full of money. However, while they are trying to escape, the cart overturns and falls off a bridge into the sea. Puss in Boots recovers from the accident, but Humpty can't get up. He asks for his help, but Puss refuses because of what his adopted brother has done and jumps off the bridge, while Humpty is captured by the guards. Since that day, the feline has been running away from his past and stealing from others in order to survive. Back in the present, Puss in Boots finishes telling his story, but Kitty has slept through most of it. Seconds later, Humpty appears and asks the cat to help him get the magic beans. Reluctantly, he decides to accept the offer. The next day, the trio meet in the middle of the desert and wait for Jack and Jill's wagon to pass. When they arrive, Kitty and the cat jump into the wagon. There, they find an opening above, and inside it, they find the box with the beanstalks, as well as several sleeping pigs. The cat holds Kitty while she tries to open the box with her dagger, but cannot. He insists that she use her claws, but the cat screams that she doesn't have any more. Just then, Jack and Jill hear her voice and turn their faces away, but the cats hide inside the cart. Soon after, one of the little pigs wakes up, but Kitty manages to put him back to sleep. Finally, Puss in Boots uses his claws to open the locks on the box, and Kitty takes the opportunity to take the beans from Jack's hand. With their mission almost accomplished, the two are about to escape. However, Puss in Boots accidentally steps on the tail of one of the pigs, which bites his foot. To make matters worse, his noise attracts the attention of Jack and Jill. The man pulls out a knife and advances towards the cats, but Kitty throws one of the pigs at him and jumps up to attack him. Puss in Boots then manages to trap the couple by tying ropes around their heads. Outside the cart, the cat signals Humpty, who speeds off in a cart to rescue them. The pair are about to flee, but Jill manages to headbutt the cat, who knocks over the magic beans. He tries to catch them, but the cart goes into a dark cave and he only manages to retrieve two of them. If that wasn't enough trouble, Jill manages to cut the ropes with her mouth, and when they finally get out of the cave, the woman pulls out a spear and tries to attack the feline. Boots manages to dodge the blows and realizes that the last bean is about to fall off the wagon. The cat jumps up and manages to catch it, but Jill pulls him back and is about to drop the animal over a cliff. Fortunately, Humpty arrives and hits their wagon, which makes Jill release Puss in Boots, who falls safely into his friend's wagon. However, the chase isn't over yet and Jill fires bullets from her wagon's side cannons. The shots hit a stone mountain in the middle of the road, which begins to collapse, but the two wagons make it through before being crushed. Jill then controls her cart to collide with Humpty's in an attempt to force them down a cliff. However, the egg sends his horse running at high speed towards a broken bridge. They fall off it, but before they hit the ground, Humpty pulls two levers that open the cart's gliding wings. Thanks to this, the trio and their horse manage to fly through the air, leaving Jack and Jill behind. Hours later, they land on the ground and continue through the desert in search of the cloud where the castle is. Meanwhile, Kitty tells the cat about her story and how her former owners ripped out her claws. Before the conversation can continue, Humpty finds the cloud and says that there is the golden goose. They arrive at the site and place the beans in a hole in the ground. Suddenly, a tornado forms from the clouds and beams of light cover the earth. After that, a small beanstalk is born, but it soon turns into a gigantic plant that crosses the skies and carries the trio along in its leaves. When the three of them reach the top, they realize that the thin air has made their voices thin and their bodies so light that they can walk through the sky. While Kitty and the cat play in the clouds, Humpty puts on a golden egg costume to disguise himself. Then the three of them find the castle in the clouds and prepare to enter. They go through the window opening and down through a gigantic tapestry. On the castle floor, they hear a strange noise, which Humpty says is from the monster protecting the goose. They need to cross the room, but there's a huge hole in the middle of the path. The cats then tie a rope to the top of a champagne bottle and remove it, being shot to the other side of the hole. They manage to get the rope tight and Humpty goes through it straight away. However, the monster makes a frightening sound and the three hide inside a tree trunk. After the danger has passed, the trio cross a huge garden and suddenly find the golden eggs. They try to catch some of them, but the eggs are too heavy to carry. Seconds later, they find the golden goose and decide to take it, but the monster shows up again to chase them. The group runs towards the exit, but the monster approaches and knocks everything down. When they reach the rope and try to cross, the tremor caused by the monster knocks over the bottle it was attached to and they all fall through the hole. Fortunately, their fall is cushioned by the huge plant roots around the cliff. However, the monster continues to follow them and they run in search of a safe place. While running away, Kitty becomes unbalanced and falls from the root into the water. The cat lets go of the goose and sets off to save her. He manages to catch her, but in front of everyone, a whirlpool appears in the middle of the water. The cats, Humpty and the goose, are pulled by the whirlwind, which takes them out of the castle. They are thrown towards the beanstalk and start to fall. At that moment, Kitty appears using a leaf to glide and saves them both. However, the cat also appears with a leaf and collides with them, which start to fall again. Fortunately, Kitty grabs another leaf from the beanstalk and flies off to save her friends. Hours later, Jack and Jill go in search of the group and find Humpty's monocle in the middle of the road. Soon afterwards, the beanstalk collapses on the ground in front of them and they make their way to the site. Later, the trio celebrate their victory with lots of music and dancing. The cat seizes the chance and declares his feelings to Kitty, but Humpty seems to be very upset by this and tells her not to go near him. Uncomfortable with the situation, Kitty decides to go out and leaves them alone. The cat, not realizing what is happening, joins Humpty at the campfire and they both go to sleep. Suddenly, Jack and Jill come after the cat and leave him unconscious. The next morning, he is alone in the middle of the desert, surrounded by vultures that almost devour him. Puss in Boots then sees the tracks in the sand and deduces that the criminal couple have captured his friends. He then gets on a horse and heads towards them, until he reaches the village of San Ricardo, his old home. There, the cat runs hidden across the rooftops and hears the sound of Jack and Jill. He sets off to find them and thinks they are going to attack his friend Humpty and runs towards them. However, when he gets closer, he notices that everyone is celebrating with golden eggs. The cat doesn't understand what's happened, but Humpty explains that from the beginning, he manipulated events to get back at the cat for abandoning him in the past. After the whole farce is revealed, the egg calls the soldiers to arrest the cat, but it resists with its sword. Just then, Imelda appears and asks him to surrender. With no choice, the cat accepts the request and drops his sword. The soldiers put him in a cage and take him to prison, while everyone celebrates with Humpty for the golden eggs. Later, the cat is put in a cell and inside he finds an old man bound in chains. He claims to be John and that while he was in prison, Humpty stole his magic beans. The old man warns them that they shouldn't have stolen the goose, because her mother will come for her and cause terror in the village. To prevent this from happening, the cat draws the guard's attention with its meow. Irritated, the guard goes to his cell, but to his surprise, he finds the cat with its cuddly look. The guard doesn't resist and opens the cell door, but realizes the cat's plan and uses a spray of water against him. Fortunately, Kitty appears behind the guard and knocks him out. She then returns Cat's boots and sword and the two try to escape. On the way, several soldiers show up to stop them, but the pair take them all down with punches and kicks. However, more of them show up to block the exit. The pair then jump towards the elevator rope to escape, but the commander grabs the boots of one of them. However, it wasn't Cat's boots, but Kitty's, who cuts the rope so that he can climb up, while she stays to look after the guards. Moments later, Humpty is on top of a tower waiting for Mother Goose to arrive and destroy the village. At that moment, Puss in Boots appears and threatens to attack him, but the egg explains that he only did all that because he felt abandoned by his adopted brother. Puss in Boots asks him to help him put things right so he can give him his forgiveness. Humpty accepts, but the Mother Goose has just arrived in the village. She realizes that the villagers have golden eggs and starts looking for the baby. Meanwhile, Humpty uses his glider and takes the golden goose to the bridge. The cat then runs across the rooftops towards Mother Goose and asks her to follow him. However, she ignores him and continues to follow the golden eggs. Just then, Imelda appears and tries to save a baby goat that was about to be crushed by the Mother Goose, but the cat grabs onto a rope and manages to save her. Then the cat grabs the rope again and uses it as a halter to guide Mother Goose. Just then, Humpty appears in his cart with the chick and they ride towards the bridge. However, Jack and Jill also appear and threaten to shoot the egg in order to catch the goose. But Kitty appears and attacks the two, who are then trampled by the goose. Humpty goes ahead with the cart, but the soldiers appear to stop them. To dodge them, the egg once again activates the wagon's wings and manages to fly over the guards. However, Mother Goose runs out and manages to pull one of the wings off Humpty's cart, which causes him to fall straight onto the bridge. Puss in Boots also loses his balance and gets loose from the bird. He then runs to save Humpty and the goose, who are tied to each other by a rope. However, the giant bird jumps to catch his daughter, but because of its weight, the bridge begins to collapse. Humpty and the baby goose were about to fall, but Puss in Boots jumped up and managed to hold them both by the rope. However, the side of the rope that holds the goose slowly begins to unravel. The feline tries to pull Humpty up, but a piece of the bridge comes off and now they're both holding onto the rope. Humpty realizes that there is no way the cat can save everyone. He then sacrifices himself for his friend and lets go of the rope. At that moment, the baby goose also breaks free, but the cat jumps towards it and manages to catch it, using the sword to launch itself off the wall towards the bridge. The cat finally manages to return the golden goose to its mother and then goes to see what has happened to Humpty. To his surprise, he realizes that, when he fell, the shell broken inside, his friend was made of pure gold. Mother Goose then picks Humpty up and takes him back to the castle with her daughter. With the confusion resolved, Puss in Boots returns to the village and is now seen by everyone as a hero. He then goes to meet Imelda and the two reconcile, with her being sure that her son was never a thief. However, the soldiers still believe that the cat is a criminal and chase him again. But the cat in the boot escapes over the rooftops and is followed by Kitty. Together, they dodge the soldiers' swords and spears and run to the exit of the village. Once they're safe, the two prepare to say goodbye, but before they do, Kitty steals Cat's boots, who goes after her. Hours later, he returns to the cat bar for one last dance with Kitty, and at the end, they kiss, which leaves one of the felines very impressed. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.